All right, guys, in this edition of Convince Me, we're debating if an 11-1 Alabama would make the college football playoff if they lost to LSU this Saturday. To remind you of the rules, you have 45 seconds to make your first argument, then 30 seconds, and then 15 seconds for your final words. So Dave, start us off.
Well, yeah, nothing changes with the dates in the calendar. And when it comes to Alabama, you don't have a college football playoff unless you have Alabama in it, because we've never had a college football playoff without the Crimson Tide. So you know it, I know it, the American people know it. There is an SEC bias, and for very good reason, because they normally produce the best football teams in the country. If, it's a big if, they were to lose to LSU, you know what they're going to say? Oh, Tua Tagovailoa was hurt. We were not at full capacity. And what we're told the committee to do is judge our team when they're fully healthy. A fully healthy Tua Tagovailoa, win, lose, or draw against LSU, is one of the 4 best teams in the country. They'll do it for ratings. They'll do it for Bama. They'll do it for history. Alabama, even with 1 loss, will be in the college football playoff once again.
All right, Tyler, it's your turn to convince me.
Yeah, it's certainly possible that they can be in, but there are definitely scenarios where an 11-1 Alabama team with a loss to LSU is on the outside looking in. Let's start with another team that we look at as dominant. How about the Ohio State Buckeyes? If they lose to Penn State and are an 11-1 team that doesn't go to their conference championship game, aren't they right now, isn't the committee telling us because they're number 1, the better team that would be 1 loss? The way they've dominated with their offense and defense, Ohio State might be the most complete team in the country. You're right, Alabama's been in every single playoff, but this is not an Alabama team of yore. They do not have a great defense. Meanwhile, Ohio State has that offense with Justin Fields and has that dominant defense. So there's one example of a team that could lose and have Alabama on the outside looking in.
All right, that was
if they're
45 seconds. Dave, you have 30 right now.
Now, in this scenario that Tyler is bringing to the table, think about it. If LSU were to beat Alabama and Ohio State were to lose, then LSU would be the number 1 team in the country, not Ohio State. And for that rationale, they'll say Alabama lost without their star quarterback being at 100% against the now number 1 team in the country. They're getting in. They might be number 4, and you might see that rematch in the college football playoff. But make no mistake, if LSU goes to number 1 with a victory over Alabama and Alabama doesn't lose the rest of the way,
all right, that was 30
Alabama
seconds.
will be in the
30
college football
seconds.
playoff.
Tyler, your turn now.
Yeah, you do make a good point about LSU being number 1, but then what happens if Georgia beats LSU? If LSU's only loss comes to Georgia, Georgia and LSU might be the 2 SEC teams that get in, plus Ohio State. You have to factor in Clemson as well. We assume they're going to stay undefeated and get in, so that eliminates a spot. And for the first time in a long time, we might actually have some relevance to the Pac-12 champion. Utah and Oregon could have a team sneak in if they get help from the other conferences. So while it's possible that Alabama gets in as a 1-loss team, it's certainly not.
That's 30 seconds. 15 seconds, Dave.
No way a 1-loss Pac-12 team is getting in over a 1-loss Alabama. It ain't happening. It hasn't happened. It won't happen. Nick Saban with 1 loss to LSU. If LSU runs the table, they will still be there at the end of the day.
Time's up,
and
Dave.
the 4 teams left
Tyler,
standing.
finish us off.
Yeah, it's very simple. While I do think it's possible for LSU to be, or for Alabama to be in with 1 loss, it's not a guarantee. There are ways for Bama to lose to LSU and have other things happen around college football that leave them on the outside looking in.
Well, guys, I think that was the best Convince Me to date. My brain isn't a pretzel from just all the scenarios you named out, so I'm not going to name a winner of Convince Me this time, but we'll know soon enough on Saturday probably the answer to this question.